Hi friends, this is an excerpt from a conversation that I had with my friend Will Crooks, who is a photographer and creative director at a publication. We spoke about this idea of having a strategy for collaborating with others if you're working in a collaborative, creative environment. And I feel like he had a lot of valuable things to say here, and who knows, maybe I said something interesting as well. But you can find that full conversation down below and also on the James Red podcast.
As a creative, you feel ownership over what you create, and it's sort of your, for me, photography is my passion, and like making portraits is my passion, and like you don't want to compromise, or you get frustrated that like other people's visions are overwhelming your vision, or you're having to settle. And I mean, sometimes you do have to settle. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say that there hasn't been a time where I've had to settle into a vision that's maybe not 100% what I wanted. I think overall I've been able to manage it in a way where my vision's respected enough and it makes enough sense within the context where it's usually used. But I mean, it can be challenging to go from the subject who's like yelling at you about not wanting to do it one way to then your publisher who's yelling at you for not wanting to do it the way the subject wants. And you sort of, you just have to keep a cool head, because in the end too, like, it's your job to make the photo. So like, you can be mad and angry, but you have to resolve the problem. None of the other people are going to. So I think a lot of it is sort of being a mediator sometimes, and being able to explain things to people who maybe aren't creatives or aren't interested in, necessarily the technical or the nitty gritty of why you want to do it one way.
Yeah.
You kind of have to navigate that world.
I think
commercial or editorial.
Yeah. I think people underestimate the importance of, like, I guess I would call it the layman's tongue, the ability to break concepts down for people. A lot of times people don't work well together because they don't understand. Nobody has painted a picture for them of what things are supposed to look like. And when they're working with somebody in a realm that they don't find themselves in normally. So if they're if they're a business person and you're trying to take a portrait of them, the only interaction they may have had in the past was something very specific, right? You had somebody take a portrait of them in a very traditional kind of way, and you come in there and you're trying to be all artistic, and then they're like, all right, let me go to what I know, because this is where I feel comfortable, and I have to be competent because I'm a business person and this is how I do business. And you have to come in there and explain to them and be able to break down to them and paint a picture, give them a narrative, compel them to go along the journey with you. And I think a lot of people skip that part. They'll do some discount version of that, which is really, you can avoid, like, I really think you can avoid a lot of metaphorical fist fights in life if you were a bit more intentional about how you communicated things. Some people are just insane, but for the most part.
I completely agree. I mean, I've got people to do things that people did not think they would do. Like, and a lot of that is being upfront in certain ways. And also it's just like photographs. Like, whenever I work with a client, whether they're hiring me for freelance or it's for my editorial work that I do for my job, a lot of it is like, if people send me text about the mood or the look they want, they don't send me photos. I ask for photos, and I just ask for photos until I get photos. Because, and it's the same for me. Like, I always supply people with photographs. I never just like write this long, it could be an amazing like piece of descriptive literature that I write that's like super compelling. But like, words just mean different things to different people, even amongst photographers. Like, moody means a lot of things, like dark, even high key,
minimalistic.
Like all those terms have very different frameworks. And, having worked with a lot of different art directors and things, like, the biggest thing is to always ask for specificity. And then when you're supplying images to people, like I give them a mood board, or I give them a selections of photos, and I may say like, well, some of these photos are just references for poses, and some of these may be references for the lighting, but I try to build an overall mood. And I think like both for showing the client and also showing my editorial team, the writers aren't as versed in a visual language. So, you and me, James, we may be able to just kind of talk through an idea and kind of understand how we're going to visually present it, especially too, is like we know each other's work. So we'd be like,
there's a camaraderie.
Yes. And there's like a shared language. It may not be perfect all the time. And I still would think that like showing either of us an image would still be more effective or a set of images, to truly encapsulate sort of having a shared understanding. But I think, I always share photos with people for your editorial subjects, for your commercial clients, for, the editorial team that I work with, because it gives people that direct reference point and helps bridge that gap of sort of a technical language barrier, which I think, like you touched on before, is like a reason why a lot of things fail is people get mad because they're like, this isn't what we talked about. But really, y'all talked about it, you just didn't share the same language when you talked about it. And you guys set different expectations, and you guys had different meanings of like even the word lifestyle photograph, right? Like that means different things to different people.
Yeah. Hi again. I haven't tried this format before. It's a bit experimental for me, but I thought it would be a good idea to take these long conversations that I'm having with my creative friends and pull out nuggets of wisdom that are held within and serve them to you guys in a digestible way. With that said, I would love to hear your thoughts on this format. News, I have a photo walk video coming up. Get ready for that. It's gonna be a photo walk. So that's it for this one. Bye.